I wish I were in the land of cotton. Old times there are not forgotten. Look away, look away, look away to Dixieland. So in 4th grade, grew up in New Hampshire, not very diverse, but in 4th grade, I was one of 2 African-American kids. In our 4th grade music class, we sang that song one day. And I just sung along thinking, hey, this is what we do, we're singing the songs. And then it wasn't until about maybe 10 years later, freshman year at undergrad, sociology of education class, when we were talking about the hidden curriculum within our childhood education experiences. And I had this flashback, which kind of came out of nowhere, that was that song, Dixieland. And as I started to unpack it, it really pissed me off because I wasn't sure why I, as an African-American person who had really watched Eyes on the Prize with my family growing up and really remembers the visuals of police dogs and the 4 girls at the church and just like the craziness and the hatred, why I would sing a song about wishing I was in the land of cotton. So I think that was like one of those moments in my life where it was really transformational in that I know that race matters and kind of plays out all the time in a lot of different capacities. That moment with Dixieland was a trigger about 2 weeks ago when I was enjoying an interesting evening on Frenchman Street here in New Orleans and just heard some live music and had a great conversation with a colleague and a few friends. And then this colleague, who happens to be a white male, was walking me back to my car. And out of nowhere, like we were just walking down the street, stopped by Snug Harbor to see what was on the calendar, having conversation, and out of nowhere, this man, also an African American, and my colleague's white, comes out of nowhere, and he may have been, after I reflected a little bit, he could have been intoxicated, he could have been mentally ill. But the fact remains that he said things that really struck a nerve in me as far as something that went a little something like this. Now, white colleague, male, walking with me. I'm gonna make the black man uncomfortable. I'm gonna make the black lady uncomfortable. People coming here, and then he went on these little diatribe, and it was really hard to follow. And so at one point in the conversation, I stopped and looked at my colleague and was like, is he serious? Because I wasn't sure what to really do, and then I was getting more and more pissed off inside because there were so many assumptions that he made. Like one, possibly that like I was involved with this guy that's walking me to my car. Or even, you know, that I wasn't really that black because I'm walking with this white guy to my car. Or like maybe he thinks I'm dating the white guy, which I don't have a problem with interracial dating. And I'm single, by the way. And so like we're walking and then my colleague doesn't engage at all with this guy, says nothing. Calm as a cucumber, just kind of keeps his hands in his pockets and he's just like, I don't even know what to call him. It's kind of like maybe Jerry from like Seinfeld or something. Like it was just all mellow, like didn't even trigger him or bother him at all. But internally, I was just like pissed off, thinking back to 4th grade in Dixieland and like saying, I moved from the north to the south and like, what the fuck? And so I was really pissed off. And then I said to the crazy man that was, you know, making these bodily gestures and being really obnoxious, I'm not even from here. Because I think in the moment I was angry and I thought that that was supposed to do something. Like it was supposed to make him go, oh, well, she's not even from here, so like I should stop harassing them. But he didn't stop. So then we proceed, and this is all in the span of about maybe like 4 minutes of like walking a block. And then I stopped and started to think about the mace that my brother sent me for Valentine's Day and how I wished I had it. And there was so much anger inside of me, and I was just like, I would just spray him, and then I got all crazy. And so I was really pissed off by the time the guy left and said he was like going to the 7th Ward or something, and was still fuming like the next 2 blocks to my car. So then I get in my car, I go home, and I sleep. And I wake up in the next morning and it's kind of like I'm still pissed off, but then I'm more like reflective about it, trying to figure out like why there was that trigger. And was it really about the crazy man dancing on the street like driving me, or was it something, I guess, within me from like growing up in a not very diverse place and then thinking about the perceptions that come with like what I look like and how I style my hair and whether or not, I don't even know what else there would be. Like I'm a lighter complexion than some people that I roll with, so then does that mean something, and am I half white? And it was just like, it brought up all these issues that I think I not necessarily struggle with, but I'm just aware of as far as my identity as a black woman. And so I slept it off, and I thought about it a little more, and then kind of like reached this conclusion that if it were to happen again, that maybe I didn't actually have to say anything to engage with the man, because I don't actually know what his issue is, or if he was on drugs, or if he was just crazy, or if he was mentally ill, or like what the other what ifs could have been that kind of led him to target us and do these like weird body movements and be really obnoxious. But it's just left me thinking probably for the last 2 or 3 weeks about like what identity is and why it matters and then how it shifts. Because I realize in the work that I do, like I can have a very different meaning if I'm in a room full of black people versus like there's a certain connection and or possible trust or like there's something there, but then I can have like that same meeting with, you know, people of other races where I may be the only black person in the room. And I don't know if it's just me or if it's like the environment, but there seems to be occasionally sometimes like a divide and or just like the absence of that trust or like that affinity or commonness. And so I just go back to my original statement that I think race always matters, but I'm trying to figure out like how much of it is like perception and something that I bring, like it's my issue because I was like triggered by this other black guy that obviously I don't really know that much about, or if it's a little bit more involved and, you know, there's like emotional issues and just like if it's more complex or if it's really not that complex. So I guess that's what I pose to you. Like, how complicated is race?